I wanted to make sure that that when I pass on, that the brand didn't go into oblivion. So I thought, well, the best thing is if it's in a museum, they're not going to get rid of it. It'll always be there. And the frames, I donated 70 pairs of glasses, which included some of my father's very early outlandish glasses, because in the 50s, after the war, the only way to get publicity for the brand Oliver Goldsmith was to go to the magazines. And you had to go to the magazines with something which was mad to get them to publish it. So he came up with some really weird things. And so they've got those in the V&A. Now for 10 years we had a window there. And then when the time came they had to make some changes in the museum, they said, look, we can't give you the window now because we need it for something else. But what we'd like to do is to write your life story and video you talking about the history of Oliver Goldsmith Company. So they said, we've never done this before, and you'll be the first as a capsule satellite on our website. And it's fantastic because I get so much publicity from that. And quite often when the public write to me, where can we buy your glasses? I always, apart from giving them my website, I always give the V&A website and say, if you're really interested in the history of spectacles, have a look at the website of the V&A because it explains everything from 1926 right up to 1989. So that is, for me, it's very important that is a bit of history being saved. The one I'm wearing here is one of my grandfather's designs from 1926. But when he first started making, when he set up his company, he only made frames in real tortoiseshell, because that was legal in those days. And I mean, real tortoiseshell is a beautiful material to wear on the face. It really is. But unfortunately now it's not legal anymore, so they can't do it. And I don't know if your camera's picking up the picture on the back behind me. That's my grandfather with his mobile showroom. He refused to carry the bags into the optician. So he had this van decked out with all the frames on display, and he would drive round to the opticians, and they'd come out and go into the van to look at all the styles. So that was also unique in those days. And I was thinking about it, funny enough, last week. Well, how could we redo that now? Because now we do all the double yellow lines, the parking meters, the wardens. So I thought, well, why don't we get an ex-ambulance and deck it out inside as a mobile showroom? We could park with double yellow lines, have one of the sales staff dressed as a nurse. So if a warden came by, the nurse could get out and just say, we're just doing resuscitation to an optician who's not well. Might work. It would be a talking point. I doubt that will happen, but I just thought the idea was just my sort of humour, you know. This one was my very first design, which I did in 1964, when my father first allowed me to design frames. And the feature of the frame was the flat bridge here. There's no outset bump there. And the arms, the temples are set in the middle of the frame, of the front, whereas most of the frames, it was a high joint, was where most frames were in the middle 60s. And then we had our showroom and offices were in the centre of London in a street called Poland Street, just off of Oxford Street. So we used to get a lot of personalities popping in. And Lord Snowdon, who was Princess Margaret's husband at the time, he came in and he chose this frame. So I was elated because that was my very first design, and he was photographed in all the newspapers and magazines, and he was not in this colour, but this is a new colour, but in this style. So we've re-released it because I said to the Japanese, look, this has got a story. It's my first design as well, and I really want to do this. And this is the most beautiful, beautiful green tortoiseshell. I'm not sure if that will show up in the light here, but this is a really nice green effect. If we go back into the 50s, this is one of my father's 1950s style. It's called Ballyhoo, very upswept. And it also comes with a wavy side. If you can just see, the side's not straight, it's wavy. When we trialed this frame, we did it as a completely handmade piece, which was selling like for £800. And I had a few customers, because what I do, when I travel around the world, I do promotions in store. They invite all their customers to come in and meet me, and then I just, between 5 and 8, and I just go to hell working hard selling glasses. And I sold 4 pairs of these at the £800 price. So we thought, well, maybe we should put it into production. And we have, and everybody loves it. Everyone buys this one. And on the right face, this is absolutely superb. This is a very important one. This was worn by Michael Caine in the Ipcress file. The film company approached me. I've never met Michael Caine, but the film company said, we need glasses for Michael Caine's alter ego, Harry Palmer, to wear in this series. And they chose this frame, and it's quite visible in the film that he's wearing that one. And also, more recently, Colin Firth wore this frame in this colour in A Single Man. He's not wearing a Tom Ford frame. Tom Ford directed the film, but he's not wearing a Tom Ford frame, because Tom Ford's signature is this line here set in, and it's definitely not there. And from the story I had, because I phoned up the film company to ask them how he came across the frame, he found it in a props box at the studio. So it was obviously an original 60s version that he found, and it suited him. He liked it, and he said to Tom Ford, "This is the one I'm wearing." So I was happy, because I was brought up in optics, and I'm not a dress designer, perfume designer, jewelry designer. I learnt from the bottom up on how to make a frame and how to make it comfortable. And my father asked me to remember 3 letters: Q, E, C. And what that stands for, Q is for quality. My father stressed to me that it's very important that all your frames have quality. E, that they should all be elegant and not make a woman or a man look stupid, because there's nothing worse than people looking bizarre. And C is comfort, because the worst thing about a frame is if it's sitting on your nose and leaves marks, or it's irritating you and everything else. So those 3 letters I've remembered all my life since 1964, when I've been doing my designing, to make sure that they're all incorporated into the frames.